all of these big deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them.
Everyone must get involved to correct some of the things that are really wrong, you know. And there are things that are wrong, you'd admit it. I do, because I see the truth. But I won't go that direction. I turned down 2 major roles in a Broadway show this year.
Friction ran between them, and he was always trying to tell Redd how to be funny. That is so...
Ever since his legendary interview with Shannon Sharpe, Katt Williams has been at the center of heated discussions in black comedy. As the debate continues, a rare 1968 interview featuring comedy legend Redd Foxx has started circulating online.
And then they get the young black comics and they twist their minds, you know, and they talk about watermelon and rolling their eyes. It's just young stepping fetches.
Could Fox's nearly 60-year-old words be a prophetic warning for today's comedians? From joke stealing to stereotypical roles, Foxx addressed it all. Are we witnessing history repeating itself? Let's find out. Redd Foxx, a legendary comedian known for his sharp wit and unapologetic humor, was one of the early voices in the entertainment industry who dared to speak out against the systemic issues and racial biases pervasive in Hollywood. Before the likes of Katt Williams began exposing the industry's darker side, Redd Foxx was already highlighting the injustices and discriminatory practices that he and his peers faced. Fox's career was marked by his determination to remain true to his craft, despite the pressures to conform to degrading stereotypes. In one of his candid interviews, Foxx revealed the blatant racism and hypocrisy he encountered.
Everyone must get involved to correct some of the things that are really wrong, you know. And I do, because I see the truth, you know. I hear some of my own material on television, and they won't let me do it, but still another guy can go on the show and do it.
Fox's frustration is palpable as he discusses how his own material was being used by others while he was denied the opportunity to perform it himself. This double standard not only stifled his creative expression, but also highlighted the racial discrimination that black comedians faced. Foxx was also vocal about the manipulation and exploitation of young black comedians. He criticized how these emerging talents were often coerced into perpetuating negative stereotypes for the amusement of predominantly white audiences.
And then they get the young black comics and they twist their minds, you know, and they talk about watermelon and rolling their eyes. It's just young stepping fetches.
By referring to these young comics as stepping fetches and Mantan Molins, Foxx draws a parallel to the minstrel shows of the past, where black performers were forced to demean themselves for the entertainment of white spectators. This exploitation, Foxx argued, was a deliberate tactic to keep black comedians in subservient roles, reinforcing harmful racial stereotypes. Despite the financial benefits, Foxx was steadfast in his refusal to accept roles that compromised his integrity. He turned down significant opportunities on Broadway and in film because they required him to embody demeaning caricatures that harken back to the antebellum South.
But I won't go that direction. I turned down 2 major roles in a Broadway show this year.
His refusal to shuffle and play the part of a stereotypical black character was a bold statement against the industry's attempts to pigeonhole black actors into limited and often degrading roles. Redd Foxx's stance was not just about his own career, but about paving the way for future generations of black entertainers. He understood the long-term impact of accepting stereotypical roles and how it perpetuated a cycle of racial prejudice in the media.
It was really going back to before Civil War days, you know, and shuffle and this here and that there. I talk bad enough already. I don't need to put it on film, you know. Not for money.
For those who never knew him, Redd Foxx was notorious for his frank, tell-it-like-it-is style, breaking ground for minorities and comedians alike. By joking about everything from S to color barriers, he brought simmering and taboo issues into the open. His candor on stage not only jump-started what is now considered a war with censors, but also inspired and enabled other comedians to achieve more than had ever been possible. Foxx was not only the king of comedy, but also a talented artist. He took a sketchbook with him whenever possible and enjoyed creating his own fantastic images or capturing the essence of those whom he loved or admired. Born on December 9, 1922 in St. Louis, Missouri as John Elroy Sanford, Redd's journey began in the heart of the Midwest. Raised in the vibrant streets of Chicago's South Side, his familial roots stretched back to Hickman, Kentucky, where his father, Freddie Sanford, had valiantly served in World War I as part of the 823rd Company of the U.S. Transportation Corps. Fred Sanford, an adept electrician and auto mechanic, however, chose a divergent path, leaving the family sometime after the tumultuous 1930s. Young Redd found solace in the nurturing embrace of his half-Seminole mother, Mary Hughes, hailing from Ellisville, Mississippi. The household, guided by the wisdom of his grandmother and minister, provided the foundation for Redd's formative years. Educational pursuits led him to Deuceable High School in the heart of Chicago's Bronzeville neighborhood, where fate intervened, weaving his story with that of a future mayor, Harold Washington. In the familial tapestry, Redd's older brothers, Fred Jr. and the short-lived Leonard, played essential roles, the latter tragically departing shortly after birth in 1921. Stepping into the spotlight of entertainment, young Redd, at the tender age of 16, graced the Major Bowes Amateur Hour radio show in 1939 as part of the Jump Swinging Six. The following decade would see him forge an unexpected bond with Malcolm Little, later known as Malcolm X, both sharing a culinary stint at Jimmy's Chicken Shack in Harlem. With matching reddish hair, they earned monikers reflecting their origins: Chicago Redd for Sanford and Detroit Redd for Malcolm. As the 1940s unfolded, World War II cast its shadow, but Redd, ever resourceful, sidestepped the draft with a soap-eating trick, a ploy resulting in heart palpitations during his physical examination. September 30th, 1946, marked a different milestone as Redd recorded 5 songs for the Savoy label under the skilled direction of Teddy Reig. Venturing into the world of comedy, Redd's risque nightclub act garnered acclaim. The turning point arrived when singer Dinah Washington insisted on his presence in Los Angeles, where Katt Williams of Dutone Records discovered his talents at the Brass Rail nightclub. Notably, Redd became one of the pioneers, a black comic captivating white audiences on the iconic Las Vegas Strip. Long-term contracts followed, accompanied by a string of comedy albums across various record labels that swiftly attained cult status. The zenith of Redd's fame materialized in the realm of television with the iconic sitcom Sanford and Son. For context, 50 years ago, fresh off of their success with All in the Family, producers Norman Lear and Bud Yorkin reimagined the British sitcom Steptoe and Son with black actors to give the world Sanford and Son. Starring Redd Foxx and Demon Wilson, Sanford and Son debuted in January of 1972, at a time when few television shows even featured black actors, much less starred them. The 1960s had shows like I, Spy, which was a light drama. But before Sanford and Son, there were few shows that centered around black comedy. It can be argued that even after Sanford and Son, which remained a top 10 hit for 5 of its 6 seasons, there has never been a black comedy like it. Through 136 episodes, the show centered around the cantankerous junkyard owner Fred G. Sanford, played to the hilt by Foxx, who had already burnished his reputation as a stand-up comic famous for his X-rated party records. Sanford and Son followed the escapades of Fred G. Sanford, Redd Foxx, a junk dealer living in the Watts neighborhood of Los Angeles, and his grown child, Lamont Demon Wilson. The program made an immediate star of stand-up comic Foxx, who would cut his teeth working a network of black-owned nightclubs in the South and Midwest, referred to as the Chitlin Circuit. Sanford and Son also made a name for itself by foregrounding issues of race. Nearly all of the main and recurring characters were people of color, and like All in the Family, both shows were produced by Norman Lear. It refused to shy away from issues of racism in the U.S. Instead, Sanford and Son forced its characters and audience to engage with these issues through both dialogue and storylines. Blending comedy and realism, the show was one of the first to depict the kinds of neighborhoods that many people of color lived in. Before Sanford and Son, a place like Watts wouldn't often find a home on the television screen. In this way, the plight of Black Americans formed a constant backdrop in the show. Yet at the same time, Fred himself wasn't above making derogatory comments about the Asians and Latinos also living in his community. The result was a show that not only focused on the Black experience, but acknowledged how complex the issue of race in America can be. And Sanford and Son did it all by making people laugh.
There's enough in here to make a Tarzan movie.
Never preachy, the program used punchlines to point out both differences and commonalities among people, often through conflicts between the cantankerous Fred and his more liberal son, Lamont. As it had been in All in the Family, the recipe was immensely popular, and Sanford and Son ended up in the top 10 of national ratings for 5 of its 6 seasons on air. But beyond its popularity, the show also helped create seismic changes in the way that television was made in the US and the kind of people it showed. The show helped open the doors for many sitcoms focused on Black life in the 70s. Shows like Good Times, The Jeffersons, and What's Happening were all created in the wake of Sanford and Son and were all helped by their success. But through it all, Fox's journey had more ups and downs than anyone could have possibly thought of for someone who reached the pinnacle of the entertainment industry. Amid the success, legal turbulence loomed as he faced a $10 million lawsuit in 1974 for his absence at the commencement of a new season. You see, with 6 episodes still to be produced in the 3rd season, Redd Foxx held out for a new contract. At the time, he said, "I asked for 25% of the show. They wanted to give me 25% of the producer's pie and said it would take 5 years before I could get a piece of the show. Well, they want to make me look like an idiot. They know they have a winner and had one from the start. You see, when they gave me the show, they had about 25 million Black folks to start off with as a viewing audience. The show has made millions. They want to sell the show to Columbia for $1 million when the show is syndicated. I want to have a piece of that. I figure that if I had 25% of the show, I could make $1 million a year for the next 10 or 12 years. I want some money now because I deserve it now. And when I'm gone, I want my family to have 25% of something rather than 100% of nothing. I just want 1/4 of myself to own. If I can't have 1/4 of me, then why am I living?" Unfortunately, Redd Foxx forgot he was talking to old money elites. You see, by then, Fox had been in the business for 38 years. He felt like he was still being treated like some beginner. Following his boycott, Redd was hit with a lawsuit from the producers of the show. In current times, fans have equated Redd's boycott to that of Dave Chappelle.
I'm not asking to boycott any network. Boycott me. Boycott Chappelle's show. Do not watch it unless they pay me.
Back in 2020, Chappelle asked his fans to boycott his old Comedy Central sketch show, Chappelle's Show, in order to put pressure on Viacom CBS to rectify his grievances over a contract he signed as a young comedian, and prominent streaming services agreed to pull the show at his request. The tactic seems to have worked. Chappelle, who abruptly exited the show in 2005, said he got his name, his license, and his show back as a result of the boycott, adding that the new deal earned him millions of dollars. "When you stopped watching it, they called me," Chappelle said, "and I got my name back, and I got my license back, and I got my show back, and they paid me millions of dollars. Thank you very much." Anyway, as for Sanford and Son, the final episode aired on March 25th, 1977, closing the chapter on the show. Yet, the legacy persisted through running gags, memorable catchphrases, and a cast that became intertwined in the fabric of television history. Harnessing his newfound stardom, Redd extended a helping hand to acquaintances, facilitating opportunities for many Black celebrities. As the post-Sanford era unfolded, Redd's trajectory took diverse paths. A short-lived ABC variety show in 1977 marked his departure from Sanford and Son. A 1980 revival saw him reprising the role of Fred G. Sanford. In 1986, The Redd Foxx Show graced television screens, albeit briefly, succumbing to low ratings after 12 episodes. In the late 1970s or early 1980s, Redd's entrepreneurial spirit manifested on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood, where Redd Foxx Car Velvetizing offered car owners the chance to adorn their vehicle roofs with a distinctive, fuzzy, velvety texture. A unique venture reflective of the times, especially for the notable pimp mobiles of that era. Beyond the small screen, Redd's cinematic presence shone in the 1989 film Harlem Nights, a project spearheaded by Eddie Murphy. The late 1980s and early 1990s witnessed his return with The Royal Family, a short-lived series where he shared the stage with the illustrious Della Reese. Despite having a proven track record with Sanford and Son and being an act who shared the screen with the likes of Richard Pryor and Murphy, network executives and producers connected to the show still felt the need to micromanage everything during filming. Actress Della Reese, who portrayed Fox's wife on The Royal Family, spoke on how many of the white producers had the mindset of, "I know a lot about Black people. I have a lot of Black friends." In an interview with the Television Academy, Reese revealed several behind-the-scenes stories involving herself and Redd Foxx on the set of The Royal Family. According to Reese, Redd was in a constant fight with some of the show's producers who wanted to retain control over the series. They were always trying to tell Redd how to be funny, and he would respond, "You don't even know funny. You can't tell me something you don't even know." As the interview went on, Reese told the story of how the disrespect towards Redd would eventually collide with the end of his life. During rehearsals for one episode, Foxx was required to walk behind her while she was sitting in a chair on set. Foxx was not present at the time due to a previously scheduled interview with Entertainment Tonight. Instead of using Foxx for the rehearsal, a body double was used. For some reason, the producer did not like the use of a body double and wanted to use Foxx for the scene, even though Foxx didn't have any lines. According to Reese, anyone could have walked behind her for the rehearsal. When Foxx found out he didn't have any lines in the scene and all he had to do was walk behind Reese, he became livid. Shortly after, he fell to the ground in pain. At first, the cast and crew thought Redd was doing a pratfall, something he was known for. However, when Redd told Della to call his wife, that's when she knew it was serious. That day, on October 11, 1992, would be the last time Foxx would be on a Hollywood set, as he would later be pronounced dead at the age of 68. Louis Pittman, who was Foxx's accountant, said the actor died at 7:45 p.m. at Queens of Angels Hollywood Presbyterian Medical Center. Foxx collapsed on the set of the CBS television series on the Paramount Studios lot at 5555 West Melrose Avenue in Hollywood shortly after 4 p.m. Foxx was unconscious and in extremely critical condition with the acute myocardial infarction, a heart attack, when he reached the emergency room. In that same interview for the Television Academy, Reese would reveal what happened soon after producers found out that Foxx had passed away. She said, "The doctor comes out and says, 'Mrs. Foxx, we've done all that we can do. Your husband is gone.'" Standing this close were two of the producers, and they said, "What are we going to do with the script? She's sitting right here. They just told her that her husband was dead." Reese went crazy, absolutely insane. She got in her car and left, making up her mind that she wasn't ever going to do television that way again. They never treated him with the respect that he should have had. He should have had a writer on the show, but instead they stuck Jackie in there, and she's a wonderful comedian. But that was not the time or place for her to be. He never got the treatment he needed. He was not phased out of it. One day he was there, and one day he wasn't. Anyway, despite the immense talent and popularity that Redd had garnered, he died a broke and penniless man. Before his unfortunate demise, Foxx had faced substantial financial challenges during his divorce from his second wife, Betty Jean. The process, which lasted over an extended period, cost him over $150,000, including monthly support payments of $10,000 following their separation in 1974. Similarly, his separation from his third wife, Joey, in 1979 led to another financial burden, with court-ordered monthly payments of $2,500. Ultimately, he paid Joy a substantial $300,000 divorce settlement in 1981. In 1983, Redd Foxx filed for bankruptcy, and the proceedings extended at least through 1989. The IRS added to his financial woes by filing tax liens against his property for income taxes owed from 1983 to 1986, amounting to $755,166. As a result, on November 28, 1989, the IRS seized Foxx's Las Vegas home and 7 vehicles, including a 1927 Model T, a 1975 Panther J72, a 1983 Zimmer, and a Vespa motor scooter. The total tax debt, including penalties and interest, had escalated to $996,000, equivalent to approximately $2 million today. During the seizure, IRS agents confiscated various possessions, including $12,000 in cash and a dozen guns, including a semi-automatic pistol, leaving behind only Foxx's bed among some 300 items. Foxx expressed feeling dehumanized during the ordeal, recounting how the IRS took his necklace, Idaho bracelet, and money from his pocket. IRS agents repossessed everything from his home but a bed. At the time, Foxx had claimed, "I could have gotten in touch with Eddie Murphy or Richard Pryor or Frank Sinatra or somebody who knows that, I have been helpful to a lot of people." Foxx received his property back the following year, but his cars and jewelry, including a watch gifted to him by Elvis Presley, were auctioned off to pay back his taxes. In any case, despite having a tragic end to his career, Redd still remains one of the most influential comedians of all times. In fact, comedian and actor Richard Pryor acknowledged Redd Foxx as a significant influence, expressing how Foxx provided inspiration and encouragement for him to truly be himself. Similarly, comedian Chris Rock also. Meanwhile, one fan commented on the tragic life of Foxx saying, Redd Foxx was cheated and taken advantage of by many entities. In the end, they tried to say he was a bad businessman and didn't pay taxes, but the truth is many powerful people stole his entire fortune and even came to his home with guns and stripped him of anything he had left. I saw this poor man on TV crying and asking if there was anyone in the world that could or would help him. And I saw him later do an interview in which he explained why he was broke and how even the rights to his TV show were stolen from him under threat of incarceration for taxes he didn't owe on money he didn't make. A second fan added, "Those white executives and producers that thought they knew better are to blame for his death. If they didn't stress him out and try to micromanage him, he wouldn't have even had a heart attack." Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.